Hello, my name is Sheriff Fuzz. I am a newly YouTube and Twitch streamer, and this is my movie review show, Movie Saloon. Movie Saloon is a place where each week I'm going to tackle two movies, one that's coming out this week, and one that I just personally like. It's under the radar, it's something I think people should see, like on anniversaries I may tackle, or if it's some special occasion. I will try to spread something that is likely something you haven't seen or is underappreciated. So, as far as that goes, the two movies I'm going to be tackling today are Invisible Man and Livescream. So, Invisible Man is a 2020 directed film. It just came out today. Film directed by Lee Wanell. Lee Wanell is a guy who's worked on a lot of horror films post 2000. His first was in Saw, where he acted, and he is a writer for a lot of films, the Insidious franchise. He's very good friends with James Wan, who's arguably the best and most prolific horror director post 2000. So, him coming in and doing this film is probably one of the best chances for this to be a success. And it has so far been critically very successful and lauded. The lead actress is Elizabeth Moss, who you may know from Handmaid's Tale, which is a critically acclaimed show, and she's very good in that. As far as the plot of this movie, where a woman escapes an abusive relationship. This abusive relationship ends up causing him to kill himself after she escapes. And he leaves her $5 million on the condition that she doesn't become mentally incompetent or some kind of mental disorder that would make the money moot. So, that already leads for an interesting premise when you know that the antagonist is going to be an invisible man. So, as far as the trailer goes, the cinematography looks great. Just scenes where you see the man breathing behind her without being able to see him, and a scene where just the couch is being pushed down from the weight of him sitting there. It's something that can create an air of suspense that you love to see in horror movies and that people just will like in general. As far as jump scares go, I don't know what the movie's going to do. Personally, we can live without them unless they are very well done. But just doing this suspense is one of the best ways to create a horror film. Then, secondly, the big thing about this film is the social context. This is an abusive relationship. This is an allegory for gaslighting, believing a victim. This is a quintessential Me Too era horror film. This is an invisible man, but it's just like a normal man who looks kind in front of others but is abusive behind closed doors. This is just something that takes a social direction, which is what good horror films do. It attacks society and it attacks societal values. It shows what the world is, not what it wants it to be. So, and that's just following the trend of movies this decade, or past decade, like Hereditary, which attacked mental illness and the way it travels through families and the way people deal with that, or Us and Get Out, where Jordan Peele tackled racism and the relationship between the other and the mainstream. These are just huge social values, and horror films give a medium to attack that, which means this is just going to be incredible, in my opinion. I hope it is. Then, as soon as you think of this movie, you probably think of the original. You think of H.G. Wells, where this was a very sci fi oriented, kooky film. This is a completely different direction without giving up the spirit of H.G. Wells. And I think that's probably the best way to do it. Quite honestly, it's the best way. I mean, how else are you going to do it? I don't think an original Invisible Man would work in the 21st century. I don't. And then, who else is producing this than Universal Studios? Behind the masterpieces in their dark universe like The Mummy and Dracula Untold. Critical failures. Critical failures. Dracula Untold was average. I, Frankenstein, terrible. This shows they have abandoned the dark universe. They abandoned trying to create a Marvel web. Instead, they're making standalone films, bringing them to the 21st century, and that's probably the most successful way they can do this. I mean, if they keep getting high-profile directors or successful artist-oriented directors to keep directing these films, whether it's The Bride of Frankenstein or they make another Wolfman movie, it's going to be a success. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a good horror movie every 2 years. And it's just as successful as having a Marvel-style universe. It's not the 40s. We don't need Frankenstein meets Abbott and Costello. It's, you know what I mean? So, as far as that says, I hope they make Creature of the Black Lagoon. Once a Creature of the Black Lagoon's announced, I will cry. So, I think it's just gonna be really good. I'm waiting for it. I'm gonna hopefully see it this weekend, and I'll give an update in my next week's podcast movie review show. But if I don't get to see it, I'll update it as soon as I do. Then, as far as the Me Too era stuff goes, Christy Lee Yandoli wrote a BuzzFeed article about it and does scene analysis and the connection. So if you're interested in the social context after you watch it, or you're just interested in that part in general, I would recommend to go read that. I will leave the link in the description. Now, the next movie that we're going to go to is Livescream. Livescream is a 2018 film. It was directed by Michelle Iannutuano. I apologize if I mispronounce that name. It's a small budget indie film. Its rumored budget is around $6,000, which is nothing. So, before you wander off thinking it's not worth it, it is worth it. It takes the medium of a Twitch streamer and the viewers watching, and it gives an exciting dynamic between them. It's the type of movie you want to watch. It shows technology that obviously older generations aren't going to feel the same way. But a young generation, people who walk around this video game streaming, people who are attracted to horror, this is interesting. It's a lot like Unfriended, which I believe came out in 2014, where they used a Skype group chat as the only work, rather than just normal scenes. This is using technology mediums in clever ways. And it keeps the budget down, as is $6,000. As far as the plot goes, it's just a streamer who gets a recommendation of a horror game. The horror game locks him in. You try to leave, you die. So you cannot leave, you gotta watch, and you get lives, 5 lives, and when you lose a life, somebody loses a life. It's high stakes. It's how much do you care about your viewers, and it looks into this viewer-streamer relationship. I mean, viewer-streamer relationships are one of the most interesting things. I mean, looking at viewer-streamer relationships, like, is it just as normal as a physical one? How connected are they? Even though they've never seen each other, they chat 3 times a week. What is the level of intimacy between these parties? And depending how you feel on it, you view this movie differently. And I think that's a really charming part of it. As far, but, and I know what you're thinking, it's probably boring to watch the same video game for 120 when it's not actually a video game. But surprising to me when I watched it, I thought it was just going to be one game, but it's almost as if mini games. It plays different games that are based on real life games that people streamed or is common. There's a dungeon crawler type, which is classic, just Doom style. There's another that's just the top down RPG style horror game. And then there's another one that's based off Slender. It's interesting. And seeing these games, seeing interpretations of it with high stakes is very interesting. So if you get a chance, rent it off Amazon or whatever other streaming service it may be on, Google Play maybe. I do recommend watching it if you get a chance. My review personally for it is a B minus. It's good. It's not without its faults. The acting isn't perfect at times, but what would you expect? It still is very good. The lead actor is engaging, like he's a Twitch streamer. So it's very much worth it, in my opinion. So if you get a chance, go out and watch it. So, thank you for watching the first movie Saloon. We'll work out the kinks, talk back and forth, try to figure out what can make it better, what makes it worse, whether there's certain movie elements you want me to focus on, whether there's certain types, not every genres. Not every week I'm going to be doing both horror. This is just a special first, and since horror has a place in my heart, I wanted to give you that first experience. So, thank you for tuning in. I will leave links to the trailers in the description. Go get a chance to watch them. Thank you very much.